So it's been confirmed, and I've got a little bit of an ironic smile on my face because I think there's going to be a lot said about breaking news we have for you guys. You're all seeing it on social media, it's all out there. Tottenham Arsenal's been postponed.
Headlines on, man. I think there's a lot of stick coming our way. I've already had Liverpool fans on my case this morning.
Yep.
And that was before the game got postponed. They were saying, wow, I can't believe you, man. You know what I mean? You were the same guys that were kicking up such a fuss about the game with Liverpool being called off. Now here you are groveling for a game to get called off. But as I said to them, man, I said, listen, we didn't make the rules. The rules are clearly there to be manipulated. And if that is indeed the case with us, then we wouldn't be the first or the last to do it. So, you know, it is what it is.
We have a lot to talk about, and I'm not surprised to see a Liverpool profile pic popping up here. I think we're going to see a few of those across this session. Anyway, welcome to the channel, guys. It's me, James. I'm here with Laurie. Turkish should be joining us soon, and Toby as well. Tap in Toby's Tottenham fan. You did a great show with Laurie yesterday. Talk is cheap. Still go watch that, even though the game is off. But it will be played at some point, obviously. We've got a lot to talk about, from Arsenal's role in this, the Premier League, just the rules around it generally. How does it change our stance on obviously Liverpool as well? What happened last week? Are we feeling a little bit embarrassed maybe? And there's a lot to talk about. And he's in the building now. Welcome, Toby. Arthur, your mic's muted, mate.
I'm a bit sorry. I said, "What's up? What's up?" I'm a bit cold, so I'm wearing layers. But yeah, what's good? What's good, guys?
My sparring partner, Toby.
What's that?
I said my sparring partner Toby's back. Thanks for the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for the show.
Yeah, we've got a lot to go. We've got a lot to get into. Do you know what, Toby, Tottenham fan? Let's get into it. Give us your thoughts. And you're probably feeling a bit aggrieved, and maybe rightly so. Let's go into it. We were feeling that way after Liverpool. How you feeling?
Yeah. It's very annoying. It's frustrating. More so because I actually wanted to go to a game of football this weekend. I was really looking forward to this match. I know, of course, Arsenal had the injuries and whatever, but that's literally part and parcel in football. But I knew yesterday evening, despite all the discussion that we've had back and forth over the week, I knew once Arsenal confirmed that they put in that request for the game to be postponed, it was going to be granted, just because the Premier League have let probably worse off circumstances be a factor in games being postponed. So looking at Leicester, looking at Wolves, etc., teams have been taking the piss for the past 5 or 6 weeks. So I knew full well the Premier League, they've been lenient mofos, and they were going to extend that courtesy to Arsenal. Of course they were.
Listen, I think that's as fair and balanced a view as you could possibly take. That's it. You know, it's Arsenal, and I want to remain consistent, because I said this when I was live here on another breaking news show. The Liverpool Arsenal game was postponed, and I sat here and said, everyone listening, I don't have a problem with Liverpool. I had no problem with Liverpool asking for it, even if they were pulling a fast one, as we said, or even if they were being a bit cheeky or manipulating the rules, because that's not their problem. Their problem is winning football matches, and they want to give themselves the best chance of doing that. And if that means bending the rules to get a game pushed back and have that, I'm not saying they did this, by the way, but if they did, I've got absolutely no issue with that. The issue here for me is with the EFL and the Premier League and the rule makers. It's been a shambles. We've had this pandemic for 2 years, and we're still in a situation where football doesn't really know how to govern the situation. Laurie, what's your take on it?
Right, my take on it is, and I listen. You know me, James. You know me for a while. Toby as well. I try to be honest, man. I've always prided myself on not being that fan that's just going to toe the line and say the things that other Arsenal fans are supposed to say. My opinions are my own. I don't have too much of a problem when people disagree with me. But I have to say, and people who have watched me on shows like the Talk is Cheap show and one or two other things, watch-alongs, I was critical of Liverpool. And I tend to take like the Gary Neville stance on this, which is that these teams, ourselves included, you have a large squad, you have academy and youth team players. Only in the most exceptional circumstances should you be seeking to cancel the game. I prefer the games to go ahead. I was critical of Liverpool because I thought that they were definitely trying to manipulate the situation for their own ends. And some Liverpool fans were saying, well, you're acting in the best interest of your club. Fine. But the problem with that is that the integrity of the competition starts to become in question when you do stuff like this. So, you know, it's difficult for me to kind of defend Arsenal, given what I've said about other teams, in particular Liverpool, a couple of weeks ago. That being said, if you look at our situation with regards to COVID, injuries, players not being available because of AFCON and stuff like that, I would say that our request to postpone the game is probably legit because we are threadbare. But I still have to go with my overriding principle is that you should seek to play the games up in most occasions. So, you know, that's where I stand on that. I would have preferred, in essence, I would have preferred the game to go ahead.
How are we in a situation, because we're going to talk about Arsenal's side of things in a second, but how are we in a situation where, you know, I think clubs, fans of all clubs unanimously agree that the rules by which they're judging this whole postponement and you know, the almost what you need to have to qualify for postponement just seems ludicrous. You know, I know we're going to talk about the Arsenal bit in a sec, but we have one COVID case confirmed, maybe two. You know, how are we in this situation where they're including, you know, international tournaments and injuries and suspensions and, you know, who signed off on this?
Well, I think if you look at the rules, it says that you need to be able to field 13 outfield players plus one goalkeeper. So I would argue that it's not just restricted to COVID, is it? So if you have a scenario such as Arsenal do, where it's a number of factors leading to us having a very threadbare squad, then you submit your request based on the fact that, listen, we're struggling to field the required amount of players. We simply can't do it. Or we're having severe difficulty in doing it. I don't think it's just COVID. I think the rules are just there.
But that's exactly it. So what happens? So let's say tomorrow they come up with a cure for COVID. Let's say something. Let's just say in a year's time, COVID isn't really a factor now. It's not. You know, we're a couple of years down the line and we're better off in this pandemic. What happens then? Do the rules stay? So if you can only field 13 players and a goalkeeper, sorry, if you've got less than 13 players and a goalkeeper, is that going to remain? You know, even if it's all made up of injuries and suspensions and players missing, is that a precedent now they've set going forward?
No, and James, my understanding of it, I could be wrong, but that was the rule. So what's happened is obviously with the COVID situation, it's exacerbated that situation whereby now teams are looking at that and saying, well, look, because of COVID, we've had an outbreak of COVID at the club and with injuries and one or two other factors, we simply cannot field 13 players and a goalkeeper, which I must say, I'm gonna be honest now. You can't tell me that Arsenal couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Okay, we would be very weakened. And listen, I understand why the club have gone down that route because listen, it happened to us a few weeks ago. Like I said, I've been contacted this morning on WhatsApp by a few Liverpool fans. They've said, "Oh, I remember when you was on your show having a go at us. Well, what's up now?" And my answer to them is, well, the precedent has been set where clubs will manipulate the situation to suit their own ends. You can't really blame Arsenal for doing what the other teams have been doing. Doesn't mean to say it's right, not in my view, but you can't really blame Arsenal for doing what they've done.
Toby, when Tottenham had those games postponed, that was a COVID-related issue, wasn't it? Am I right in thinking there was a bit of an outbreak, like 13 members of players and staff or something? What was it? Something like that. Oh, I think you're muted again. Hold on. I think there you go.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
The first game we had postponed wasn't due to COVID, so that was Burnley. We turned up to Burnley ready to play, but their pitch was not. The pitch was in shocking conditions. It was basically frozen,
Yes, the
so we
snow,
couldn't
yeah.
play. So that got cancelled, and then the Brighton game, we applied for that game to be postponed because that was when we had 13 positive COVID cases. I think it was like 8 or 9 first team players, and then the rest were academy players and staff. And then the following week, we were meant to play Leicester, and even though we still weren't at full tilt, we still had some players out. We were ready to play that game. Leicester were the ones who applied for that game to be postponed because they had 9 players missing because of COVID. So they had 9 positive cases as well. So in 2 out of 3 situations, the postponements have actually been justified because like you can actually see a clear increase and spike in cases across both teams. And I know the rule is not just limited to COVID. I know the rule is just if you have a certain number of players, if you have less than a certain number of players available, then you have valid grounds to get the game postponed. But I just think there's no consistency here in how the rules being applied or adopted. Like you're seeing,
I agree.
like, yes, Arsenal technically you can actually say, okay, cool, we don't have 13 outfield players available, but we know that the circumstances that have led to Arsenal not having 13 outfield players available are not all situations that were out of your control. Some were out of your control, some were in your control. How can that be? How can that be compared to COVID cases, which are completely out of the club's control?
Yeah, but that was the point I was making. The rule does not stipulate COVID, does it? It talks
it doesn't.
Bare minimum.
It's just,
So you know what I mean.
That's very interesting, Laurie. See, that's why I love having Laurie because he does his research properly. and
in the final analysis, that is why it's been so easy to manipulate this situation.
I'm going to put this.
And then the other thing we've cut just very quickly, James, on that is that you also have to take into account the confidentiality of medical records. So, from what my understanding is, and this is what to give some sympathy to the Premier League and the people who make the rules and stuff like that, and have to arbitrate on this is, say, hypothetically speaking, Arsenal say, well, or any club say, listen, we can't make today's game. We'd like to submit a request to postpone because we have an outbreak of COVID that is raging through the club. We have 16 people out through COVID, right? They're not obliged to give the names of those people because their confidentiality is kept. So it could be that there was, out of that 15, 16, there were 9 backroom staff, you know what I mean? So we don't know exactly the extent of those people who allegedly had COVID.
Yeah, I hear you. This is a question from True Gunners TV. It says, I understand the postponement, but I question if Arsenal would have requested the postponement if it wasn't such an important game in our season. I think that's a really fair question. And to help us answer it, we've got Mr. Big Six himself. Yes, Turkish, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Tobes, you live to fight another day, man. We'll settle this later.
We live to fight another day. Your team's literally on its knees, and you're saying that we live to fight another day.
Yeah, you know, I was excited for the game, man. That's the only thing that I'm upset about. That I was excited for the game, and it's.
I was too, actually.
I was actually really looking forward to it, man.
Aside from that, I don't care too much. Listen, the precedent was set with the Leicester game. I think are Chelsea the only team that have been rejected a request to postpone the game? They are, isn't it?
As far as I'm aware, but I think when they did it, it like wasn't really as set.
Yeah, well, if you look at the team they put out straight after they got rejected, you can see that they had enough players there to play. If you think about Arsenal's team going into Sunday, and yes, what Tobes has said is right. One of it's due to suspension. Others are due to African Cup of Nations, which we knew about from the summer, and other injuries that are not COVID related. Yes, but that precedent was set Leicester Everton. I think that was the first time that it came out that it's all combined: COVID, injuries, and African Cup of Nations. That precedent was set there, but there wasn't really much said about it because it's Leicester. Now it's Arsenal.
You're spot on, Turkish. You're spot on.
Yeah, now Arsenal have used that same rule, and it's, you know, more often than not, Arsenal are that clean club that wants to run the classy way and, you know, wants to just keep the morals up and all that. Listen, if we need it, we need it. If we bent the rules, we bent it. I I don't really care.
Yeah, see, that's a good point, Turkish, because once the precedent has been set and you've allowed these clubs, right, and I'm not going to name names, we all know who they are. You've allowed these clubs to manipulate and bend the rules to suit themselves. You can't really turn around and blame Arsenal for doing the same thing. Although I'm going to say, on the record, I want to keep it consistent. I would have played the game. I would have sought to play the game. If we have to play Charlie Patino in midfield against Tottenham, then that's what's going to happen. Because let's be honest, had Xhaka not got sent off against Liverpool, it's highly likely that we would have not requested this postponement. We're clearly short in midfield, and that is clearly why the club have thought, you know what? Let's see if we can pull the old we can't field a full squad thing, and let's see how that runs. And it's been successful. So, you know what I mean? Fair play to them.
Don't get me wrong. I'm excited. I was excited for the game, and I'm vexed that the day before it gets cancelled, because the day before a derby, that excitement builds, and obviously the morning of it builds even further. Aside from that, I think if it needed to be done, it needed to be done. That's it. After I saw the performance against Forest, where our team would have lined up stronger against Forest than we would have tomorrow against Tottenham. Look at what happened with that light midfield, that young, inexperienced midfield against a Forest side. A Forest side that it wasn't a derby, but that game carried a lot of emotion for them because it's against one of the big boys. It's in the FA Cup. It's got that aura about it. The Tottenham game's got similar emotion for different reasons. So obviously, when you play a young midfield like that, I get you, Laurie. Patino and Lukonga probably would have started, but that to me, that's when my excitement starts turning to worry. When Xhaka got sent off, I said it's not just about this game; it's about the games coming too. I'm not saying Xhaka's the answer, because you know what I feel about Xhaka, but I'm glad Arsenal have done it, man. I'm glad Arsenal.
Of course you will be. And listen, if I take my Spurs hat off and move past the frustration, you're only doing what other teams have been doing in recent weeks anyway. So I don't know why the rules should be different for you. But all I wanted to ask was, you're saying we would have had to play those inexperienced midfielders. The midfielders that you would have had available, if no one was suspended or whatever, wouldn't really have made a difference anyway. What Granit Xhaka, is that who you're looking to in the North London derby away from home?
You say that, but the manager will say, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the manager will, but I'm asking Turkish. He's saying they played Patino and Lukonga. So if Xhaka wasn't suspended, it would be Xhaka and Lukonga.
Yeah, I get you there, but that's why I put a disclaimer in and said, obviously with Xhaka there, it's not like I'm overly excited about that either. But it's not fair on Patino, and that Nottingham Forest game for Lukonga and Patino, the game kind of coasted by them, and Tottenham game is a different animal. Don't get me wrong, Xhaka could play and get a red card in the Tottenham game, and I'd be flipping after about it. But going into it, I'd be more settled with someone like that than I would be going in Patino Lukonga. But you're right. It's not like I'm saying that's a big differential. I'm looking more at Odegaard as a big loss and other players in there. Tomiyasu, I'm not too sure if he's ready yet. These are the men I'm looking at really more so than Xhaka to say, whether that difference is there. Patino and Lukonga would definitely be light, but Tomiyasu and Odegaard and Smith Rowe, these men, Saka, Martinelli, these men are more important to me, knowing that they're fit enough to play. And after playing 2 games with 10 men against the 2 best teams over the last few years, in the last 10 days or so, I think tired legs was always up for question. So, I
think this isn't. I think this is more than just tired legs. I think you've pulled a fast one here, but it is what it is. I think Thomas Partey will be back in like a week and a half or so. You're gonna sign some players. You're gonna bring in Arthur on loan, etc., etc. So I think you know what you've done here, but it's fine. You'll come to our ground. No, it's true. You come to our ground. I'm not even crying. You come to our ground. Full strength, and you're still going to lose. So it's fine. I'm not crying.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think no Arsenal fan could look you in the face and say that what you're saying there is not true. Because I know that James, Turkish, we all know deep down what's happened there. We've sought to manipulate the situation to suit our best interests. Now, am I fine with that? Not really, because like I said, I'm on the record. I'm not going to be hypocritical now. I'm not going to change my stance just because Arsenal have now done it. Because a couple of weeks ago, I was having a go at Liverpool. I was going in. I was saying, listen, man, look at the size of your first team squad. You've got academy players. You've got youth team players. when you played other teams in that same tournament earlier in the season and last year, you have had no problem in putting several young players in your team. How come all of a sudden now you can't put their man in it? And it's a similar situation with us. But what I would say with Arsenal is that I do not blame the club, because if it's happened to us, how can people then turn around and say, Arsenal, you're an embarrassment, blah, 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 because we're only doing what the other teams have done, which is to manipulate the situation to suit our own ends. You can't blame the club.
Do you know what does stagger me? Because I think you're all spot on. I do think this exists a little bit in kind of the media and all that. And maybe it's because Arsenal fans made a real uproar after the Liverpool postponement. But why are we always the straw that broke the camel's back? Why is it our game that then everyone's kind of talking about, and then the media and uproar and all these journalists are talking about? Jurgen Klopp literally said, "Oh, there were false positives." What? It's not possible. and no one's ever going, "Oh, oh, okay, all right, well, that's a good team."
To be fair, Jay, I think the reason why we're getting so much stick today is because of, let's face it, we did kick up a fuss. Well, I know I did.
Yeah, of course we did.
In the Liverpool game. So people are then turning around and accusing us of being hypocrites. But I'm saying, yeah, you can throw that at us, but surely you have to also reconcile that with, listen, you cannot blame Arsenal for doing we would be almost silly to go ahead with that game tomorrow now, wouldn't we?
Well, there's this comment here from Grumpy Doctor.
Think about that, yeah? We would be stupid and naive.
He's put this, he said, we used to get...
Yeah, if other people are cheating, then go ahead. It's not your fault. The rules can be bent. So
that's it. Grumpy Doctor, I think, is making that point. We used to get mocked for being too naive, no cojones. We're not anymore. Now get used to it, Premier League.
Really?
I mean, whether we're all the way there, but it's these little things that I think it's fair to say, if you want to be winners, you got to do the dirty stuff sometimes. That's why I can't believe
this is what you're comparing that to, James. We're talking about like on-field tangibles is where that comes into equation. Getting games postponed is not the mark of a winner. Come on, what we saying? What I'm saying is. Don't look at me like that, Turkish as well. Don't look at me like that.
You know what it is, though. You know what it is.
What I'm saying is, I was on this live stream saying with my chest, I had no problem with what Liverpool were doing, even if it meant that they were doing it to have a stronger team out for their two legs. I had no problem with it. My problems with the EFL and the Premier League. And I'm applying that same thing to Arsenal. If they have done this, probably, and I think we all agree they probably have, because it means they're going to have a better 11 out for the North London derby. I've got no problem with Arsenal trying their luck. But where I'm not with other Arsenal fans getting on Gary Neville, getting on Jamie Carragher, because they got a lot of heat on Sky for what they said yesterday. Two wrongs don't make a right. They're right to say what they're saying. Yeah, they could have said it before about their clubs. Yeah, they waited too long. They addressed that. They're right to say it. The rules need to change. A, they need clarity, but B, it's got to be COVID case related. It just has to be. I'm with, look, Toby, I'm with you. We let Maitland-Niles go. We knew about AFCON. We had every chance to be prepared for shortages in January. And we're not. And I don't really think the rules are right. And I don't think it's fair. But I'm with Laurie and Turkish as well, that I get why we've bent them.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah,
that's how I sum it up. It is what it is.
Let's find out. When do you reckon?
Over your initial disappointment. I mean, listen. Of course, you wanted the game to go ahead because you know we're in a very vulnerable position right now, and you're going to be like clear favourites to win that game. So, as well as keep it real, it's not just because you wanted to go to a game tomorrow. You've got us in a very vulnerable. Come on now, let's.
Turkish. How long have I been talking about this game on the Big Six?
Yeah, a little while.
No, I'm not saying you're not looking forward to the game. I'm saying that you know that you're playing Arsenal tomorrow in a very weakened state. So it's
but this stage last week, you would have been thinking the same about us.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not looking at this. Of course, it would have been beneficial for you to be to be depleted, but. Yeah. It doesn't really matter for me. Like whether we play you depleted, whether you get your first team, the result is the result. Yeah. So I wanted the game to go ahead. It's not gone ahead. I'm annoyed, but it's not the end of the world. We'll play it. You'll bring your full fit team. You'll bring all the noise, etc., and then we'll see what's what. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm
Toby,
saying,
Toby, we wanted that Liverpool game at the Emirates for, I'm not saying the same reasons, but for the reasons Laurie mentioned, which is we were encouraged that we were going to face a weaker Liverpool without Mane and Salah and probably a load of players out. And we thought, brilliant, let's put we all want that. If we're sensing that situation, we were thinking the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I understand why Spurs fans are frustrated. I understand why Arsenal fans were frustrated last week, but there's a common enemy here, and it's the people that govern the sport. For me, I really, people will get angry at Arsenal. Arsenal fans got angry at Liverpool. I think all of that anger is misplaced, in my opinion. Turkish, what do you make of that?
I agree. I'd say firstly, it's the people that govern the country. In turn, the people that govern the Premier League, because the rules are all messed up from top to bottom. You know, the rules were messed up from the beginning, so it's also hard for businesses to keep up with the rules. Hence, why the Premier League are in this mess now. Look, we tried at the beginning of the season to call off the first game with COVID, but obviously money in the Premier League and what's happened over the last 2 years that you know that was at the forefront of their decision to continue that first game because it's a massive one. But however, when you come into this period now when it's all over the news again, it's, you know, there's boosters coming out, there's new variants coming out, and yes, the Premier League have left it open for manipulation, but this whole thing in general, life dealing with COVID in general, for people, for businesses, for families, and etc., it's been a mess, full stop. So that's why I don't care about the cancellation too much. Like I was excited for it. I'm different to Laurie. I think that this was a good chance against Tottenham. If Emile Smith-Rowe was fit, if Saka was there, I think it is a good chance against Tottenham without a Son, without an Ndombele. The performances over the last few months haven't improved. Yes, results have. I actually was going into it excited and a bit of confidence. But in general, this COVID thing has been so messy from the start. It's been dealt with messy from the government to the Premier League to many other businesses. That it is what it is. That's like I'm struggling to understand why there's so many people flipping about it. Like
I wanted the game to go ahead.
Me too. I wanted it.
Having said that, I've also said I can fully understand why the club went down the route that they did. Because let's be honest, if the rules are there and they're not tightened and they're open to manipulation, then why shouldn't Arsenal pull the same card that the other guys have done? It's up to the Premier League and the people in authority
to tighten
up the rules. Because when you allow people to manipulate the rules in this way, it's open season. Anyone's going to do it. And I don't blame Arsenal for what they've done. What I'm saying is, I'm kind of on the Gary Neville side of things, is that they should tighten up the rules. So only in the absolute most exceptional cases should games be cancelled. Because listen, I know I might be speaking against the grain now. Some Arsenal fans watching this might saying, Laurie, shut up. But listen, are we really saying that we couldn't have put a squad together of 14 people? Are you really telling me that we couldn't get 14 players for tomorrow? I don't think
I'm with you. I'm with you, Laurie. I'm with you.
We could do. If we really wanted to play that game, we could have done. And I would also argue, had we have been playing, say, Norwich or, you know what I mean, one of them man there, we wouldn't have been seeking to cancel the game. But again, Arsenal have looked at it and thought, why should we go to Tottenham with us, let's face it, a severely depleted squad for a whole host of reasons, when a couple of weeks ago, Liverpool done exactly the same thing to us and they got the game cancelled. So I don't blame them.
I actually think that the numbers could potentially be that we are under that. I'm not saying Arsenal are pulling a fast one. I'm not saying that they're right in doing it. I don't know, because I do know the numbers are thin. Now we can talk about the summer and pre-planning and African Cup of Nations all day long, but in terms of the rule being 13 outfield, 1 keeper, I actually think we're pretty close to what is it, a 25-man squad, 3 goalkeepers in that squad, that leaves 22. We've got a couple at 3 at African Cup of Nations, that's 19. Few injuries, suspended. You get close to that number. I just think because of COVID, like let's say in any other season, let's just say in 10 years from now, COVID is a thing of the past and we forget about it. If there's still a rule that says if you're down to 13 outfield players and 1 goalkeeper, that is the bare minimum to play the game. Forget COVID. I think we'd all agree that's an okay rule, because if you get down to those numbers, it's peak, COVID or not.
Yeah.
I just think COVID on top of it has made people go mad. Like, is it fake? Is it real? You're manipulating it. You're taking the piss.
Yeah.
They are manipulating it, but the rule itself may not seem bad on the surface, but the way in which people are sort of towing the line with the rule is what's really irking me. Like, people are citing things that wouldn't have been just cause to get games postponed in the past as reasons why your game should be postponed now. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Arsenal, you're right. Arsenal, if numerically, they may have less than 13 outfield players, but you have the reasons why you have 13 outfield players are not situations that were completely out of your control. For the most part, a lot of it was in your control. So why should the opposing team, who have had the match, who have been preparing for the match all week, be punished for your failings, for your squad failings? That's where the anger sets in. But looking holistically, you're only doing what Leicester have done for like 4 or 5 times now. And some of Leicester's complaints have been valid. Some of them have been valid, but some of them have not been. You're only doing what Wolves has done. You're only doing what Burnley have done, etc.
You're only doing what Spurs done, because they've cancelled games as well.
We've only had 1 game cancelled. And we only had 1 game cancelled because we had 13 positive cases. We've only applied for 1 game.
You're telling me you couldn't have used any youth team players for that game?
What's that?
When you
against Brighton, 9 first-team players out with positive cases.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You've got a squad of 30+ guys. You've got.
We don't have a squad.
Academy.
Not 30 senior players. Not 30 senior players. And I could have sworn the rules are you can't just pluck an academy player and tuck him into the team. They have to have played. I can't remember what the minimum number of appearances were, but they have to have played a certain number of games across different domestic competitions before they can actually be eligible to play a Premier League game.
You think so? So there you go. You see, the rules are not tight on this stuff.
Yeah, they're not. But I also think
which is why the manipulation is going on.
Yeah, but I also think that's where you have to blame the Premier League. Like, listen,
I am. I'm not blaming you.
My frustration at Arsenal is just because I wanted this game to go ahead. But if I look at it broadly, it's the governing body that are letting shit just get to the stage it is now, where teams can put in these requests and it gets granted. So all Arsenal are doing is just also taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, we're following suit, and you can't blame them for that.
Question though, is there a moral angle here from Arsenal's perspective that actually,
nah, I don't think there is. I'm not going to lie to you. There's too much. I think with what's at stake, especially with this game as well.
A fair play plaque on the wall.
Yeah, with what's at stake, I don't think these guys. They're too ruthless to care about morality, man.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? We're gonna
and Toby, fair play to you. I'm scrolling through Twitter and the tears. And don't get me wrong, Arsenal fans were bringing their own tears after Liverpool.
Yeah, you were. Your fans were crying their eyes out with Liverpool, and you got valid grounds to do so. But boy.
Absolutely. I think this is we're just going over same old stuff, so I want to move the conversation a little bit. But it's a mess of the Premier League and just the governance of football's own making. You talk about governance outside of football, Turkish, and I think you're spot on. But this is a mess, and now it's creating kind of fighting between the wrong people, whether it's here in the comment section, whether it's between fans on streams, whether it's online. It's actually really pointless. Like, not enough people are focusing on the rules. There needs to be what Carragher and Neville said for me is right. There needs to be a meeting held by the Premier League today to readdress this and go, right, we've allowed this one because, in fairness, it's the first one Arsenal have requested and we've granted all the others, so we've got to be consistent. But as of Monday, they've got to draw a line. It's got to be COVID related. And I don't know, how do you measure that? Do you say if you've got, I don't know, 6? So if you've got 6 first team players who have played more than 60% of your games this season with COVID, you get the game postponed. It sounds a bit complicated, but at least it's more accurately reflecting kind of who's able to play and who's not. Because we were made to play against Brentford, Chelsea, City, get spanked and thrown about everywhere. Sky were loving it. Everyone was loving it. And we had key players missing. Now, I'm not saying we should have had those games called off, but that was a situation in which COVID really did affect our season, our ability to play those games to the best of our ability. And no one really cared then.
What I would say, James, is what this has shown, this whole debacle, not just today, but in previous weeks, what this has shown is that the rules need to be revised. They need to be looked at. I've had Liverpool fans coming at me today, as I'm sure they've done with you and Turkish and a load of other Arsenal fans. They're coming at us. Are you not embarrassed? And I'm like, no, why should I be? We have simply done what the other teams did when it was their turn to do it. We've done the same. You cannot say, are you embarrassed? No, because we raised our concerns at the time, which we were absolutely right to do so. Liverpool were given the exemption, or their request was granted. Now we're in a similar situation. We've submitted a request that's been granted. What have we done wrong? Absolutely nothing. Direct your anger and your frustration at the rule makers. They're the ones you need to direct your frustration to.
No, we're going to direct it at you as well.
No, you can direct it all you want, but at the end of the day, mate.
No, they're ultimately to blame, but you have basically followed suit.
Will you be stronger will you be stronger, Tobes?
Huh?
Will you be stronger when the game's rearranged?
Yeah.
So how's it really an advantage for us at the moment?
No. It is an advantage for you at the moment because you're going to be you would have been severely depleted.
This is how I'm seeing it. We're both depleted.
Yeah, but I was happy for the game to go ahead. Spurs didn't ask for the game to be postponed.
So was I. That's what I'm saying. But obviously, it's not like they've done it to really gain that.
I think they have.
How much of an advantage? All right, look, Partey's a big advantage. Partey's a big advantage.
Xhaka, Emil Smith Rowe.
We just talked about Xhaka. Hold on, you just talked about Xhaka, and you don't put him in your list now as well.
I am, because you don't want to put him there.
I'm not putting him in the list. We've removed him from that
even
list.
if you take out Xhaka, then Partey, Emil Smith Rowe, Odegaard. Those are free stuff.
Emil Smith Rowe might have made it though.
So then why is the game getting cancelled?
That's why.
So why is the game getting cancelled? And that's my point. And Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu could have made it. So why is the game getting cancelled?
We don't know either. I'm just looking at it. Partey definitely will be back. Son definitely will be back.
Listen.
I'm just frustrated as well because we got 4 games in hand now. 4 games in hand. Soon to be 3 when we play Leicester next week, but 3 games in hand as of next Thursday. People keep thinking that this is a benefit for Spurs. It isn't. It's not a benefit.
No, of course, and I understand why you guys are serious.
Spurs, but it's a benefit for Arsenal because we're not playing Tottenham with a weakened side.
Not that much, because we're going to be playing a stronger Tottenham side, Laurie.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, let's be honest, man. Let's
going into the season, though.
Let's keep it real. It suits us to have this game postponed tomorrow. We're weak, especially in midfield. Right, this is a big game for us. We don't want to rock up there with a severely weakened side and lose. Which I'm not saying we would have lost tomorrow, but let's be honest, we're not in the best state in terms of available players. So it does suit us. I'm not gonna cap on that. We can't cap on.
There's another angle to this, and this is where I think it's such a can of worms and such an absolute mess, right? Let's say Arsenal spend big in January. Let's say Xhaka, who wasn't available, now is, because he'll have served a suspension maybe. And we know whatever we will think, we know Arteta loves him. You can understand why there's a frustration there. And maybe, and I think it was mentioned on the radio a couple of weeks ago, should players that are signed after where the postponed fixture should have been, should they be allowed to play? I think that's a really legitimate question. I mean, and it goes both ways. If we bring in Vlahovic and they bring in, whoever, I don't know, Adama Traore, I don't know. But my point is, should that game go ahead?
No, that's a fair point.
With those players,
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. If they put that rule in, I'd get it. I wouldn't oppose that.
Your team on Thursday is going to be funny.
but it'll be strong. But this
Of
is
course, it'll
where.
be strong.
But Tobes, this is where.
That's why I said it's going to be funny.
But this is the thing, Toby. It will be all right. But yeah, this is what Liverpool did a week ago. Oh, we can't
And
feel
Liverpool
the
and
level.
I question Grizz for that on the Big Six. Grizz had a whole monologue about that, but ultimately, like 9 false positive cases. That's ridiculous. There's no justification for that. Even if you wanted to say clerical error, it's insane. It's absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. The
There's
rules
foul play there for sure.
The rules were manipulated. Now, if you're going to accuse Arsenal of doing the same thing today, then fine, you can throw that at us. But then all I'm going to say to you is, well, we're just the latest in a long line of people who are doing it. So don't have a go at Arsenal.
No, I am. I'm going to have a go at both of you.
Frustration and your anger and your criticism to the people who make the rules and who uphold the rules. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, bro.
Yeah.
Arsenal are just doing what's best for them. You've done
so that's why
this season.
So you get some flack as well. They get Premier League will get the most flack, but you get some flack as well.
Yeah, we're gonna get flack. But listen, man, we're all big boys around here. We can hold that. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at Arsenal's squad, right? It's 25 first team, which is a lot smaller than some of the other guys.
Whose fault is that?
No, that's a fact. I'm just quoting it. That's facts. So
I know, but I'm just asking, whose fault is that?
It doesn't matter. That's a fact.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay. You know what I mean?
You don't think it doesn't matter that you're short.
There have been teams, right?
You're short. No. Hear this one. Hear the tomfoolery in this one. You're short in midfield, but you have 3 midfielders out on loan.
Brethren, I didn't
see how stupid that sounds. You see how dumb that sounds. Not to mention, you sold a midfielder in the summer as well. You see how dumb that sounds.
Yeah,
we've not helped ourselves. We've not.
Exactly.
So okay, let's look at this. Let's try and look ahead at this North London derby, whenever it's going to be. My fear is, not fear, but I feel it's not going to come around for a while now. I think it could easily be a month or so because Spurs are trying to squeeze in the games they had before. European football comes back, although we're actually neither side are playing in it, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, I think we're done. Yeah.
We
tried to appeal it, but nothing. I've not heard anything on that.
When are we thinking? Mid-Feb, maybe?
Nah, you can't even assume. Trust me, it might be end of the season. You can't even assume. They've got like 3 games. If they do it by order of postponements, they've got 3 games to play between that.
Do you know from an Arsenal?
It's a big ticket item though. So they're gonna do it. I feel like they're gonna do it when it suits like the viewership numbers, etc., for Sky Sports.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do it. They're going to judge it by that. They're not going to judge it on like, oh, Spurs need to play this day and that day. They're going to judge it on what's best for, in terms of viewership.
Do you know, Toes? Well, I completely agree that in a lot of ways, this is a really good opportunity for you guys to play Arsenal and we've bent the rules and blah, blah, all that. Where I actually feel from an Arsenal perspective, I don't think it's an advantage for us. And I actually really mean this. I fear when we play you guys, Son will be back. I think you'll be another couple of weeks, months, or whatever into the Conte project. And I believe he's such a good manager. You guys are going to improve as the season goes on. Realistically, it's not going to be a weekend game. They're going to fit it probably a Wednesday night under the lights in the new stadium. And I just think we're going to face a better Tottenham. I was looking forward to the Matt Doherty at left wing back Tottenham. I was.
Okay.
And the do you know what I mean? And the Tanganga, Davis and Sanchez, Davis back three Tottenham.
With respect, James, we can't really say that because, I mean, you've got to take into account injuries, form, things like that. So
but Laurie,
by the time the game gets played again, you don't know what the form line of the players are going to be.
Of course. All I'm saying is I wanted this game to go ahead, even if because I'm with Turkish, I'm with Laurie. I think if we played this game tomorrow, I think, strap Tomiyasu and Smith Rowe up, they'll be able to play 60 minutes. I think we'd have got enough out of something. And actually, and I think Spurs were going in on poor form. And I know you still would have been favourites, and I think I made you guys favourites of that game. But I just think we're going to come up against a much better Spurs down the line. And yet, it will probably be a much better Arsenal too. But we'll see. Anyway, that's a complete...
Sometimes, you know what it is as well, James? Sometimes when you're in these situations, when you've got a depleted squad and you give youth team players a chance, they rise to the occasion. I mean, it's interesting. The other day with Charlie Patino, I know it's different opposition, when he come on against Sunderland and scored, a lot of fans were hooping and hollering and saying, "Oh, this guy, he looks like he's going to be, you know what I mean, the next big thing." He didn't have a good game against Forest. And then all of a sudden, them same people that were bigging that you up, right, and saying, "Oh, he's one for the future," they're saying, "Oh, there's no way we can risk him against Spurs." I'm like, bro, you were telling me 2 weeks ago that this guy's the next big thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to have faith in your young players. You know what I mean?
But we have too much faith in our young players. That's the problem. Like, I get
Yeah,
you.
you do.
I get you if it was a Man City or a Liverpool, like who have like 30, 32-year-olds in abundance around. But we've already got a young team we rely on. That's why Patino coming in now, not in the big games for me. Even though I want to see him in the cups and against the lower league opposition like Forest, I didn't mind that because you can see his development. Then I think this one is a must. That for this one, this is why it's funny. For this one, I'd rather Xhaka. And when do I say that? Do you get what I'm saying? When do I say that? So I don't think it's fair to put in Patino.
Can we Sorry, go on, Turkish.
We definitely would have been light in the midfield again. It's just that without Ndombele for Tottenham, I don't think Tottenham have much in midfield. So
let me throw something out there, right, to all of you guys. And I did allude to it earlier, but I am interested to hear what you got to say. Be honest now, yeah? So had these same set of circumstances applied, right, and we were playing Norwich tomorrow, would the club have sought to cancel the game?
You asking me?
Yeah, all of you.
Yeah,
if we were going to play Norwich tomorrow,
I think so.
We have sought to cancel the game.
I think so. I think.
Yeah,
any opportunity to just get as much of your players back as possible, no matter the fixture, I think you would have.
Because no game.
I don't think you had any intention of. I think after. Sorry, Turkish. I think after the way Thursday transpired, playing with 10 men, losing players, etc. Xhaka suspended. I think you had no intention of playing this weekend. So whether it's Spurs,
that's not
Norwich,
the question I'm asking. That's not the question.
But I'm saying even if it was Norwich this weekend, I still think you would have had it postponed.
Yeah, I think Toes is spot on. I think the Xhaka red card, the sheer physical exertion from Thursday night, having the Liverpool game coming, I agree. I think the way it went down on Thursday, is kind of, I think, is what kind of tilted it over the edge. And I actually do agree. If we were playing Norwich, I do think we would have asked for this. I don't think it would have been right, but I do think we'd have asked for it. Let's kind of start to round off the stream. I want to get everyone's thoughts on. We're very good on fan channels, not just us, everyone, whoever comes on, and everyone in the comment section. We're very good at complaining, but I want to know what potential solutions we have to this. What do we want to see to make this system better? Because Laurie's raised the point, and I've not checked it myself, but that these rules about 13 players and a goalkeeper have been there before COVID. It's always been a thing. If you can't field that, then the game doesn't go ahead. So what's our solution to this situation? Anyone want to go first? It's a big question.
Well, for me, it's very simple. What this situation and the ones in the weeks previous have shown is that the rules need to be tightened up. There needs to be clear criteria set. And then, you know what I mean? You lessen, because let's face it, you're always going to get some clubs who want to manipulate situations. You just kind of lessen the ability for somebody to manipulate and bend the rules. It's got to be looked at again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's a 2-week break coming up after next week. I think they'll probably hold tight on it and decide in that break what to do. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, when's the African Cup of Nations over? Tobes?
I can't remember when the
like
final.
5th of Feb, something like that. 2nd Feb.
Early February, yeah.
Yeah. So
because can I just raise a quick point on that as well? You see, this is what I'm saying now, right? So we got to be careful how this thing runs, you know, because the whole integrity of the league could be in question. So imagine, right? Say this was later on in the season, and you're getting down to crunch time, relegations, Champions League, these European places, and a similar situation happens, right? And we or any team says, we want to cancel because we had a couple of COVID cases. Let's face it, COVID's not going away for now. We got a couple of COVID cases, couple man injured. We don't feel we're able to field a strong enough team. How does that impact the rest of the league? What would the other teams say? You know what I mean?
What, are you talking about like changing the rules now, or are you saying?
No,
if
that's
they
what
were
I'm saying. The rules need to be looked at because I could see possible court cases coming up.
The rules need to be looked at, but I think because they've already let like 4 or 5 teams make arguments for their games to be postponed like this, I think it's unfair now to change it and then say, oh, we're not letting this go for the rest of the seasons. Why should 5 teams get the option to get their games postponed under those circumstances, but the remaining 15 teams, you're saying, oh, they can't do the same?
Yeah,
I agree. So
I hear that. But what I'm saying, Toby, fast forward to the crunch time of the season. Imagine if this is like, you know what I mean, late April, May, and
it is what it is now. It is what it is now at this point. They've messed it up.
I'm saying that there could be.
I see what you're saying, but like, what can they do? They've messed it up.
Are you lot ready for a bombshell?
Go on.
We've got Mr. Robbie Lyle in the building. Here he is. Oh, he can't hear us. Is he there?
You see what I'm saying, Turkish? Do you think that, you know what I mean? This could get serious.
Laurie, shall I be honest with you? Yeah, my stance is the same. I don't give a shit. I'll be honest. Like I said, this COVID thing has ripped the world apart. People's lives, families.
Let me put it another way. Let me put it another way, right? Let me put it another way. This might
any way you put it, Laurie. I can't lie to you.
No, but hold on. Hypothetically speaking, right? It's like late April, and there's one league game left, and we're to play Tottenham or anyone like that. You know what I mean? And the team we're playing, if we beat them, we get Champions League qualification. And then they say, oh, we can't field the team because rare. And then the game gets put back. They get their full strength team out and we don't win the game. So we miss out on Champions League. How are you going to feel about it?
Yeah, I'll deal with that at the time.
That's what I'm saying. The rules need to be looked at, bro. Trust me.
So when you said
this season or next season, they're going to
Laurie, we're all saying looked at. And I agree. I think we all agree they need changing, but I'm trying to just wrap my head around what possible solutions that could, like, what if at the start of every season, the teams submit their first team squads, just first team. And if you've got enough COVID cases to eat into an 18-man squad for match day, then you're eligible to postpone, but they have to be COVID related, right? So let's say people submit a 25-man squad and they've got 9 COVID cases, which leaves them with just 17 first teamers for a match day. I think that's eligible. I think that's eligible grounds for a postponement. 7.
So do I.
Sorry,
what
9.
I'm saying is,
8 even.
What
8
I'm
or 9
saying,
positive COVID cases to the first team, sure. But I think, you know, if it's injuries, if you've got 12 injuries and that eats into your match day squad, well, so be it. That's what we got an academy for, and that's just tough luck. I mean, maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. I mean, I've just come up with that, but that feels far more fair than, you know, just AFCON as well. Oh, injuries. Oh, you got to knock after Liverpool. All right.
Letting Ainsley Maitland-Niles go out on loan, and hang on.
Oh, you want to develop your youth? Okay, yeah. Sorry. Like trying to get Robbie in. Is it going to work? Robbie, there?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
How are you in the studio and he's got the worst internet?
I'm in the studio. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing? Give us a take on this,
just know really quickly, right? I was so incensed listening to Toby, right? You know what I mean? Because I've been driving down and I've been listening to it, right? And I just wanted to ask him one quick question, right? For all these Tottenham fans that are having a go at Arsenal for getting this game cancelled, isn't this the same Tottenham that's been thrown out of the Conference League because of you had to pull out of a game because of COVID? Is it not the same Tottenham? You said there was only one game.
Tobe said
in the league it was one game
many times, and there was 8
in the
cases
league. It was one game.
Is it not the same Tottenham that pulled out of the Conference League, and now you've been thrown out of that because you tried to cheat the system in that?
We didn't try to cheat anything. I told you we've only had one game.
You said it was
we've only had one game in the league.
Was it not the same Tottenham?
In the league, yeah. And and give me the reason why we had that game postponed in the cup.
I'm I beg your pardon, I didn't get that last bit.
Give me a reason. Give me the reason why we had that game postponed.
It was because of COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, and how many cases did we have?
No, you
Robbie?
said you said there's only one game, right?
In the league, one game in the league. I was talking about
league. You guys had to pull out of.
Stop doing this, Robbie. I was talking about in the league,
you
bro.
You tried to manipulate the system.
I didn't try to manipulate anything. No. You're not gonna lie, Robbie. In the league,
don't have a go at Arsenal, right? We've just done
in the league
what everybody
else
has
got one
done.
COVID case, and you're comparing it to 13.
It's the system.
Come on.
Do not try and blame us, right? You guys
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you
because you tried to manipulate the system with COVID.
We didn't try to manipulate anything. We had 13 positive cases. Where is the manipulation there?
Yeah.
Where is the manipulation?
You had 13 positive cases, but like I heard Laurie saying earlier, is that 13 players in your team, because it can be out of those 13 cases, it could be 3 players, and the rest of them are backroom staff.
It wasn't 3 players. It was 9 first-team players.
It can be. You don't know. You don't know.
We do know because we put it out there. It was 9 first-team players.
Yeah, you put it out there. Did you put names? Because, like I said, there's confidentiality around.
Anyway, guys,
we don't have to put names. We don't have to know. That's what I'm saying. It's 9 first-team players.
Got to jump onto an AFCON stream now.
I can't believe what you're saying here. You're comparing your situation. You're comparing. No, Robbie. No. You're comparing your situation to us having 13 positive cases. And guess what happened?
Did it. Liverpool did it. Now we're doing it. See you later.
Not don't blame Arsenal. What happened when we had our game postponed? We got kicked out of a competition and we lost 3.
Robbie came here after 55 minutes of great, balanced, open discussion between rival fans.
Talking rubbish.
Caused complete carnage. Yeah. Dropped a bomb in the room and left. This guy,
it's crazy.
No, but to be fair to him, he did raise a good point there with that Conference League team.
It's not a good point though. Why is it a good point? Because I
don't actually get the Conference League point. What did Tottenham do wrong?
What was the point? Yeah,
because they were deemed to have broken the rules. So
we didn't break any rules. We had.
No, but that's so. Why did you get thrown out then? Why did
we got thrown out? We got thrown out because there was no other possibility to play the game. We wanted to get the game rescheduled. Yeah, there was no other possibility to play the game. Rennes were gonna go on their winter break. They didn't want to come back in England. Yeah. What more could we do?
But what I'm saying is you were deemed to have broken their rules, so they threw you out. That is the point that Robbie was making.
we didn't break any rules.
You're saying
everyone wants their 2 pence. Bloody Cecil's in the building now.
I told us, bro. Stop moaning, blood. Like we had to.
I'm not moaning. You not invited me here. I don't understand.
Toby, I'm so sorry, Toby.
You not invited me here. I'm not moaning. The game is the game. You not have played it. It is what it is.
Toby, if you want to phone a friend or bring someone in, you're more than welcome.
Listen, Toby, what I would say about this situation is this, right? And we're all big men around here. We're all intelligent people.
Yeah.
You all know, right, that in life, not just in football, in other areas of life as well, if you have a system where the rules are open to be manipulated, that is what's going to happen, bro. So all I'm saying is that what's happened today just highlights that the rules need to be looked at, because maybe not you, right? I'm not saying you are, but there's going to be a lot of fans out there, Tottenham fans and other people will be upset at what Arsenal's doing today. Now, my response to them is, listen, we felt like that when Liverpool done that to us, right? We're now doing it to Tottenham. You cannot blame Arsenal. It's easy to say, oh, yeah.
No. I'm sorry.
But in fairness, he's not blaming Arsenal.
I'm sorry. You can't say that Arsenal fans got angry at Liverpool, but Spurs fans shouldn't be angry at Arsenal fans. Of course, listen, ultimately, the Premier League are the ones that have let this nonsense go for weeks and weeks and weeks now. But you can't say to Spurs fans that they can't be angry at Arsenal. Of course they can be angry at Arsenal, because Arsenal can see a way in which they can use the rule to their advantage, and they've taken advantage of that.
You know what I mean?
So of course, Spurs fans can be angry at Arsenal. Absolutely, they can be.
Why?
Of course they can. I've just told you why. I've literally just told you why.
But you can't see. You can see why we done what we did, though, right?
I can see why you did what you did, but I'm just saying that's not enough of a reason for you to say Spurs fans can't be angry at Arsenal.
Okay, well, they can be as angry as they like, but at the end of the day, we have done what other teams before us have done. We've had it done to us. We're now doing it to you. You'll do it You've done it yourselves to other people.
No, we haven't done this. Don't say we've done it.
All right. Okay, you haven't. Spurs are this.
Stop putting Spurs in
arbiter. They've never done it.
Actually had COVID cases.
Okay, Spurs have never done it, but other teams have done it, and we're now one of them. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed.
I don't.
Yeah, it's come.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I've got to be honest. But super chat from Braxton says, respect to these guys being ready to address the ongoing events, especially Tope stepping into the Lions' den. Yeah, got to back that. Then we've hit an hour, guys. We're gonna round off there. Sess, I know you just jumped in. Do you want to just give your quick thoughts on it? We'll round off.
Yeah, just quickly to round off. Again, it's not really at the team or the clubs. It's more, again, we spoke about it last week when it happened with us at Liverpool. It's just the whole murkiness of the rules, and it's the blurred lines. And we got to remember, one of those constituencies is if you can't prepare for the match, then you're in your full right to postpone it. And Arsenal couldn't, and really within the day of them finding out, I guess, COVID cases, the injuries, and obviously suspensions, that they couldn't prepare for the game. So it makes sense. That's what I'm saying, Toby. You can't be angry at that. We couldn't prepare a fully fledged side to go out and compete for Sundays. You're looking to get warned again. Tottenham have done it as well. Do you know what I mean? They've had games postponed. I think it's only right. Stop that. Stop your little.
He's just upset because his desire to beat Arsenal, a weakened team, is now not going to happen.
Oh, now you're getting into that.
Either way, we'll win. So
do you know what? I do understand? Do you know why I do understand the anger? Arsenal.
You said you wouldn't lose another game this week, and then you lost to Chelsea, mate. So
you say a lot of things. You've predicted many scores, and yet you're bottom of the prediction table. So let's not.
I've won one of the prediction leagues. Don't ever forget that. I've won one of them. Don't ever forget.
What?
I won one of them. You haven't won anything yet.
What, today?
The Euros one. I won the Euros prediction league. Don't forget.
No, I won the Euros.
You won what Euros, man? What are you talking about now?
Whatever, man.
You talking about the Euros? That was 6 months ago. How do you not know? Anyway.
Sorry, Big Six took precedent there, man. We went off on one.
Yeah. I do think Arsenal's application, which has now been granted, feels the most blatant in terms of this rule manipulation, and maybe that's where there's more anger. But as we've all discussed,
I don't even think it's that, James. I think what happened is because I honestly feel that because we all kicked up a stink, and listen, I was one of them, so I'm not gonna cap. I was upset with Liverpool at what they did, right? And obviously now, like Toby says, people are coming at us, and you can't blame them for it, I suppose. But what I would say to those people is redirect your energy to the rule makers, because we are now doing what has been done to us, and you're going to get other teams doing this as well. We're by no means the last time this is going to happen. You do know that, don't you?
But we won't be someone. We won't be someone that comes out as well and says, "Oh, there was only one real positive in whatever reason why we're having it postponed." Like, we really are limited for reasons that are applicable to have the game postponed. So let's not forget that as well. We really are limited. Liverpool obviously came out and said they only had, all of them were fake, most of them were fake positives. So that's not going to happen with us, I'm sure. We clearly can't field a side to compete against Tottenham. So it's only right that it's postponed. I think it's the right decision. But again, like Laurie said, it's down to the rule makers as well. You're very right there, Laurie. It's the murky lines and the blurred lines that's getting a lot of fans frustrated.
I think we could have put out a decent side, and I think we, maybe manipulated rules that I believe lots of teams have already done this season, and I think that's where it gets.
Well, Leicester did it, and they beat who did they? Was it Liverpool they beat with a weakened side? I think they played a weakened side against Man City, and they got tonked, although they played well. And then a couple of games later, they beat Liverpool in a similar situation. So, listen, I would have preferred the game to go ahead, because I've got enough faith in the team that we could have gone there and gotten a result tomorrow. I was actually predicting a draw. So, listen, man, I'm disappointed that the game's not going ahead. But that being said, I don't blame Arsenal for what they did, because at the end of the day, they're looking out for their best interests. They want to play the game when they feel that they've got a proper side out. The circumstances are that they've got a number of players out. They requested the postponement. They've got it, and that's it. So, Toby, mate, it is what it is.
Doesn't matter.
But, I'm just gonna leave now because I've just arrived, so I'm gonna have to leave. But guys, big up everyone as well. Big up you as well, I
Thing up
suppose.
anyway, man. We've been talking for an hour about something that really and truly
Honestly,
is
it's
out of
done
our
now.
hands, out of everyone's hands.
It's done
People
now,
are
yeah.
just- Like
Yeah, it's done.
I can't keep on stressing enough. It's gonna happen again. You know, look at the way it's been governed outside of football. No wonder it's happened like this inside of football. It is what it is. You know, we move. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
We moved to exactly that. And obviously, Arteta at the start of the season was hard done by with COVID, and we had to carry on playing. I think, you know, like you said, other teams are doing it. It's his time. And it's serious. It's his time to have the postponement. I'm not against it. Obviously, I know you guys said you could probably field a team to beat or get a draw against Tottenham, but I think it's in our favour that it's postponed, and it is what it is. And we'll have to see you in the next fixture when it's rescheduled. But yeah, Toes. Anyway, and everyone else, big up, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Safe, bro.
I'm off.
All right.
Love everyone.
Later.
All right, guys, we'll round it all off there. Toby, thanks for joining, man.
No problem.
Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, of course, Laurie and Turkish as well, jumping in.
Yeah, no problem. Even though the game's cancelled, anybody
I
out
was
there
ready for a
watching,
nice, chill Saturday, you know. I'm hungover. I was just going to watch a film and take it easy. And now the carnage has unfolded. I'm sure more will follow in the coming hours and days and all that. And I think a lot will follow when the starting 11 comes out against Liverpool. So brace yourselves, guys. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
okay, have a good weekend. You too,
See ya.
Tony.
Take care.
See you later, guys.